What up, guys? Welcome back to the Waddup show. So today we are here for the most awaited question that people were asking us about, and it is about the career as a CPA in Canada. We did receive a lot of queries and questions about how it is for a person who has done their CA probably in India or is from a financial background or any other background and wants to immigrate to Canada and wants to get into the accounting field as such. So we have two people out here who did their bachelor's here and then pursued their CPA, and one who did her chartered accountant back home in India and now has done her CPA from here. So let us introduce to you Shweta and Barahita.
So I'm Shweta, and I've immigrated to Canada, like Toronto, about 3 years back. So late 2016 is when I came here. So I've done my CA from India, and after that I've come here. First few years, I wasn't looking for a job. I had a small baby, so I was just more focused on maybe studying, catching up. So that's when I decided to look for the CPA course and see what it entails.
Awesome. So now we'll switch over to Barahita, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
You're actually pronouncing it great. So my name is Barhaita. I moved here when I was 17 and I went to Rotman Commerce at U of T. So I got in and I chose a specialist in accounting and a minor in economics. So I did my undergrad here. I chose to do my CPA. So when you do your undergrad here, a bit different to obviously people immigrating, but there's a lot of networking sessions. So I actually had my job with Deloitte in my second year. I did their Deloitte National Leadership Conference in 2016. And then I did an internship with them, 2015, then I did an internship in 2016. And then I started full-time with them in 2017.
Let me tell you, the registration now is kind of the whole process is a little different. I think I had to do a bit more than what students right now have to do. So I registered. I had to get like a certificate of good standing from ICAI. That is one of the first steps. Then there are forms to be filled. It's pretty easy. It's not like a lot of documents. I had because I applied for immigration. That's when I did my WES, or what do you say, the certificate that they give to approve your transcripts, your marks. So that was very handy. If people can get that done, that kind of reduces the whole processing time. After I gave all of that, for me it was different because I had to give I had to do a capstone 1, a capstone 2, and a final exam. Now I think things have changed because of the MOU between ICAI and CPA. You just have to give the final exam, so the process has become easier and better. So that's good. The whole CPA studying concept it's way different from India. So that is something that was first challenging for me. I was like, okay, I don't know who do I ask, because it's not like I knew a lot of people here. And my only resource would be like the capstone 1 group that I had, because they were the ones who were doing it. I literally didn't know anybody else. So as I spoke to more people, I found out that the best thing that I could do was to like relearn the way you give exams, because India is very different. India is more of a question answer format. It's like you learn questions, you learn answers, and you reproduce them. Whereas CPA, the whole point is like a case-based approach. It's more application-based. So that's something I had to learn. You need technical knowledge in both exams, but the way you apply it is different. Here in CPA, you have to apply it. India, you kind of need to remember and reproduce answers like in a question answer format. So that was different.
A very popular course for people who are who finish their undergrad in accounting is the graduate diploma program. And another version of it is the master's in accounting program. So the master's in accounting program is offered by York University, if I'm not mistaken, and that's Schulich. And the graduate diploma program is offered by tons of universities now, but I did it at Rotman, so it's a 3-4 month course that you take right after you graduate. So you kind of lose that summer in between you finishing graduating, starting to work, but it gets a lot of exams out of the way and leaves you with just the capstone project and the final exam to give later on the next summer. So I took that path. I did my graduate diploma program, and then I started working full time. And then if you're working with the Big Four, as I was, you get the summer off and they give you a lot of material to study from. So if you get a job with the Big Four, they have a lot of resources, not only the Big Four, but also BDO, Grant Thornton, all of these companies that are audit specific. They have a lot of resources where you can get information to study from. We also went to classes with them. And yeah, I met Shweta in the capstone project and I gave my CP, which is the final exam. And and now I have my CPA.
Awesome.
That's kind of my path.
Wonderful. CPA is, yes, equivalent to the CA in India. So since I had done my CA in India, that's why for me it kind of became easier. And now it's much more easier, but I think I didn't mention it before. If you do not have your CA in India, you can still come here and do CPA. Say you've done your undergrad in India and you just come here and you decide to do CPA, but it's a very long process, a lot of exams. Not to like discourage you, I have friends who are doing it, but it's just that you need to be patient. It's just what happens is CPA will assess the credits for their system. They'll try to see that the subjects that you've covered in your undergrad, how do they match up to what they need here. So first you have to get that assessment done, then CPA tells you what exams you need to give. So there is like a prep course, and after that there is a core 1, core 2, and after that there is capstone 1, 2, and then final. So it is a way longer process. The prep course could be up to like 9 or 10 exams that you have to give. An exam happens, I think, about every 3-4 months. So if you calculate, it kind of just adds up in terms of the time it'll take. But it's possible. People do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I know friends who have got jobs here, and the company requires them to have a CPA. So, it's like they have a job and they're studying side by side. It's not like they're wasting time just studying. So it's possible you spend a few hours doing the project submission. So that happens to be there. In terms of why you should do it, because as in India, you need, like if you are planning to have a career in an accounting field, then it adds more value if you have a CA. So similar here, if you want to have a career in accounting and related fields like finance, taxation, financial analyst, it just adds a lot of value. For public accounting, it is a requirement. You need to have your CPA if you want to grow up in the public accounting industry. When I say public accounting, it's a little different because in India, you don't really use the term, I think. It's everybody says audit.
Yep.
So that's here people say assurance. So for me, initially, it kind of took a while to understand when people said assurance, they meant audit. So, it just takes time to get a little familiar with terms. There you say, are you in audit? Then here it means kind of, are you in public accounting? So there are terms you get familiar with, and those things help you make your resume, because it makes more sense to the recruiters if you write assurance rather than if you write audit. It's not that people don't know audit. Like audit is a kind of engagement that you perform, but based on what I know, the terms used there were a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess talking to people in the field that you want to apply eventually would help you with your resume and stuff. But yes, if you want to do it in an accounting field, a CPA would add so much more value than just an undergrad.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, it's like not a mandate to have a CPA degree, but it would be great if you can have a CPA.
Correct.
Right?
So which is exactly the same in India. It's not like you cannot have a bookkeeping or an accounting job without doing CA. You can do it, but if you do a CA, if you apply to a lot of MNCs, they will ask you for a CA. If you apply to a Big Four there, they will ask you, whether you've done your CA. So, but if you go to a smaller company, you want to become start with a bookkeeper and say an accounting manager, maybe they'll not require it and they just need you to know your accounting. So it's similar. It's like a license the way it's in India. So.
Okay.
So next question would be probably for Baraita, and she can probably explain us better that what advantage would you say that if people want to do their undergrad from probably Canada, would you recommend doing it from Canada or just do their CA first back home and then come do a CPA here? Because a lot of people had questions regarding the same, and that
really?
was like the main question that, like we are accountants, and what do you say that we do our CA and then come over here, or we should come do another course or probably do their CPA after coming to Canada?
What would be the best possible route?
I mean, I know it's not easy for everybody to just pick up and move to Canada. Obviously, your undergrad is way more expensive here. But yes, if you have the opportunity, definitely do your undergrad here if this is where you want to live, because there's a lot of things that you learn in undergrad that I know a lot of people who come to India after their undergrad might struggle with. Like I had like just a community sort of feeling as well. Like you guys are doing a great job with like helping people out, but I know that it's not easy for everyone. So when you come to university here, there's so many other international students who are just like you, who are trying to find, you know, that kind of solace, home away from home kind of feeling. So I would say definitely do your undergrad here if you can. Your path to your CPA will also be a lot easier. A CPA is a good basis for any kind of job that you're looking for. It takes just, I should have probably given this information before, but once you give your final exam, you just have to keep working in an accounting field to be able to get your CPA. So it's not just passing the exam and you have your CPA. So it requires 3-6 months of work experience.
Okay.
And for you to be working under an employer who's willing to sign off on your PERT reports, which are kind of like every 6 months you have to do a meeting with your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then based off of that, 30 months later, you can apply to get your CPA. So within that, you need some tax hours, you need audit hours, you need assurance hours, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot that goes into it. So if you're here, undergrad also means that you have a lot more opportunity to network with the firms. I don't know how Shweta's job finding process was. I think she could speak to that better, but like these firms just come to campus and you can network with them, and you know, you can find out more about them. Another big thing to note is that a lot of firms are giving out CPAs now. It's not just the big four or BDO, Grant Thornton. Like you could get your CPA with a bank, you could get your CPA working as a financial analyst, like in any company, as long as they're accredited with CPA. So that's one big thing to keep in mind as well. But yeah, for sure, like going back to your original question, undergrad here is great. If you've already done your undergrad in India, I'd say don't waste those years and come here and redo your undergrad. But I guess in that case, hearing what Shweta had to say, do your CA there and come here and do your CPA, because you're skipping a lot of steps then, and you can just, you know, get your CPA in 2 easy steps versus getting all of the exams again.
And what's like the duration of the course if a person is directly coming after their graduation from India?
So as I said before, that is a longer process. It depends on how many credits you get, or how many credits are assessed by CPA. So once CPA institute, like you have to send in your transcripts, and then based on what they say, they'll tell you the subjects on which you have to give exams. I know somebody who had just done their BCom and an MBA finance from India, and so they had to come here after they got assessed. They have to give 9 exams. Then they're not done yet, but that's just for them to reach the core 1 level. Core 1, core 2, I don't know, I think Bar would know. Like core 1 is like what, 1 exam, or there are like 3 exams in core?
I think there's multiple exams within core 1
Each
and core 2. So, based on my knowledge, and which is very limited because I chose like the most direct path to my CPA. If you don't do the graduate diploma program or a master's in accounting, which is the graduate diploma program is what I did, and the master's is what my friend did. You have to give, so after you graduate, you have to give core 1, which is multiple exams in tax and management accounting and other types of accounting. Then you do core 2, which is again different types of accounting. You have to go for I think there's 2 days worth of classes that you attend from 9 to 5 with CPA, and then you can study and give the exams. They're all technical exams. After giving these, which are only offered, I think, twice or thrice a year, that's when you go into your capstone.
Yeah.
So the capstone is sort of your, sort of how you're going towards your CFE, which is your final exam. Shraddha, I could be very wrong here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but capstone 1 is a group case project. And within this, you're paired up with 4 to 5 people, and they could be anywhere. So it's based on your postal code.
Okay.
So Shweta and I lived close by each other, and we had 2 other team members. So you meet in, like, they hold a huge conference over 2 days. You meet your group members, and then you have to work towards a case presentation. So that's capstone 1, and then capstone 2 is your preparation for the CFE. So you have to submit these cases that you solve to CPA, and you're only eligible to write your CFE if you submitted X number of cases out of, like, let's say 4 out of 5. I don't remember the exact number, but
so
that's sort of the
sorry
process.
To answer your question about the timeline, if I say that you have to give probably like 10 prep courses, that could span over 2.5 years. After that, there would be core 1 and core 2, which I'm assuming would be another 1 year. This I have no idea because I haven't done that either. And then capstone 1, capstone 2, and CFE happens in about like 6 months, because I think that's what I did. So I had to do capstone 1, which started in May, and I wrote my final exam, which is the CFE, in September. So that's 6 months. But so anybody who does an undergrad in India and then comes here has to look at it that way. Like, it's a longer time investment. Again, if they get more credits, they have to give lesser exams, like fewer exams. So depends on that. So as she said, it's not easy for everybody to just come here and do their undergrad. But if that is a choice, I would also say the same thing. It's so much better here, mainly because you kind of build a network, and that helps you a lot with your job process. For me, as I said, I knew like very few people, like a handful, and the first job that I found was through one of those people.
You were talking about that the processes have changed of late, that if you hold like a CA degree back home and if you're coming here and get that evaluated through WES, so they are like giving some leeway for the credits, am I right?
Yes. So if you've done your CA from India, now you just have to come here, you have to register, and you have to give the final exam. That's all. So that's like some people just come here on a visitor's visa, and like when I gave my CFE, there was like a guy sitting next to me. He had just come on a visitor's visa to give the exam, so he did that, and he went away. Yeah, so that's a possibility. Also, as Bar mentioned, that the requirement is 30 months of experience. So in my case, and would be the case for most people who've done the CA in India, the articleship experience, what we call articleship there, is approved here. So you need to get either forms signed by your employers from there, which is way tougher. You can just instead do like a notarized copy of your experience. And once you notarize it and submit it to CPA, I've not heard anybody's application get rejected so far. So they count that experience, which is very important. Yeah, so I didn't have to do the 13-month thing because I already, because India has 36 months of similar stuff. So it's great that they acknowledge the accounting experience there. So good.
So we would like to know what all careers can we expect with doing CPA, and what sort of roles are there if once you do your CPA from Canada?
Bar, would you like
what career you can expect here?
So you can, one, obviously, the most popular career for which people get their CPA is audit. Audit and assurance is what we call it here, as Shweta said. So you get, so you could go into audit. Now you can go into public audit or private audit. A lot of firms do audit, all the big four, BDO, Grant Thornton, MNP. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is that you could go into becoming a financial analyst with a company. So essentially starting off in their accounting department. So you're kind of going into the senior financial analyst role. If you've done a couple of years in audit, you could transition into a senior financial analyst or a financial planning analyst role. I'm trying to think of what else. You could start off in, I know a lot of CPAs who start in financial advisory, in risk advisory. So it's really what you make of it. If you've done your undergrad here and you've given your CFE and you want to be a CPA, it's important that your experience kind of matches to the CPA profile, because otherwise they won't, like CPA Canada won't qualify you to be a CPA if you haven't done any accounting sort of background. A lot of CPAs go into private equity valuations. Honestly, you could go a lot of places with your CPA. It's yeah, there's a lot of careers. Trella, what do you do right now?
Yeah, so another thing. So I recently moved to a tax role. So I was I was a staff accountant, which is mainly assurance, but I recently joined a tax position. So that's another option. One very popular option for people who want to go into industry is I've seen a lot of people who join in as like an assistant controller and then move on to becoming controllers, which is a very good position to be in. Big, and then you can grow higher up in the company. And I think like at a very, very low level where you've probably not done your CPA yet, you're just like working towards it, you could join like I think it's called like a general accountant. That's what they call it here. So you kind of take care of the account AP cycle, AR cycle, everything at what do you say, like an entry level. But it kind of helps you build the experience, get to know about how things work here, and then once you get your CPA designation, people generally would bump you up to a higher level. So that would be a good starting point. Yes. And banks, of course. I think banks have a lot of positions, especially if you have like a background in the banking sector, then you could apply for that.
So finally, coming to the last part of this interview, would like to know like what most people are interested in is the salary package. What you can.
Wow.
Well, speaking for myself, I can tell you what all staff accountants start at. If you're working for the Big Four or any other audit company, you start off at like about 45 to 48,000 per annum package. It's been like this for years. They bumped it up from 45 to 48 2 years ago. But it's very like everyone starts off at the same position. That's why I'm like very open about it. This is how much you get.
Okay.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, I've heard that sometimes if you don't go for like a Big Four, but say a mid-tier firm, they probably have a little more leeway. Like they could give you a little more because you have had experience. But I know the Big Fours are pretty standard. They start off with like 45. I would say the mid-tier firms, they kind of have like a band. So I know people start between 45 to 55 if you go into staff accounting. But again, if you have talking from people like about people that I know who have had Big Four experience in India and then have come here but don't have their CPA, and if they say join a company as like finance manager or something, I know people have started from 60, 65 and then get bumped up after they do their CPA. So it's a possibility, but that's the thing. I mean, it depends on what your experience has been, whether you have no experience or you have some experience. Also, how much value does your experience have to the place that you're going to join? If they see that that's value and it's just a matter of, like a degree that you need, then they probably recognize that. I mean, I've seen that they recognize experience that does, it's not like set in stone that you need to have Canadian experience. No, it just matters about how it matches the profile that you're applying to. So there you have a bit of leeway. But if you join public accounting, yes, it's pretty standard. Like 45 to 55 is where you start, unless you are taken in as like a manager level, which is kind of unheard of.
Like, I mean, that depends, right? If you're if you have the experience, if you've done your CA in India, then obviously that puts you at a greater, like at a higher experience level. If you've just done, like if you've graduated from here, you're doing your CPA here, for example, you'd start off at an entry level position and you'd go from there. but it's easy. It's easy to, like, with the campus recruitment, it's easy to find a job. I know if you're coming straight from India and you don't have a lot of contacts here, and as Shweta said, it's all internal hiring. You really need to network then and really talk to people. So it's important to kind of have a community around you, and I don't know, LinkedIn message as much as you can. I think one big thing is that like the difference is, and it's coming to me now, but the one big difference between doing your CA in India and doing your CPA here is that there's a lot more focus on soft skills in Canada than your technical knowledge. You can be, like, their thought process is that you can be taught the technical knowledge to a certain extent. Obviously, you need to be competent, but you can be taught those technical skills. Like when I entered audit, I knew nothing about audit, and they don't expect you to know much. And you can be taught all those skills as long as you have the good basis for it. However, your soft skills are important. How you're talking to the client, how you're writing emails, how you're talking to your team members. Do you gel with them? That's very important in Canada. Like if you're able to talk to a recruiter and you gel with them, that's like you're halfway in, right? Like, you know, you talked about something and you both got along like friends, you're halfway there. So it's super important to have your soft skills in place, which I think is not that much of a focus in India based on my experience in India. There's a lot of focus on technical skills in India. That's kind of the main difference between, I would say, your CPA and CA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think this was very helpful. And
Glad.
all the questions I think have been covered and answered. But if there would be any more questions, I'm sure we are going to get a lot of queries on this video. So if we do, we are going to come back to you for
Sounds
more
good.
goals.
Not a problem.
No problem. Yeah, sure. Anytime.
Not a problem. Thank you for setting this up.
Guys. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so much for your time,
Nice meeting.
guys. Take
Nice
care.
meeting you
And
all.
It was nice meeting you guys.
All right.
Okay.
all right.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, we'll float it across to Varayita and Shweta, and hopefully they'll answer it for you. And until next time, take care of yourself, your family, and stay connected. Oh, before I forget, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel as well. So we keep working hard for this. So it would be really great for